On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, folks, we're looking at this 80-man roster, getting ready to head into this final preseason game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Friday, and we got to knock this roster down to 53. We got 27 candidates, folks. Some are practice squad eligible. Some are going to be waving bye-bye to for good. And today we're going to concentrate on this edition on the defense. So how many we got right now on defense? Who we're going to get rid of. Before we get into today's content, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, folks. It's free. Help a brother out. I see a lot of y'all are watching. Please hit that subscription button, folks. It really helps a lot. Gives me more time, gives me more encouragement to do more videos. And I love when y'all make some comments. I love the dialogue back and forth. Pound that like button. And make sure you hit that bell notification. Be notified of future videos like this on the Panthers and the Charlotte Hornets, Carolina Hurricanes, and college sports in North and South Carolina. All right, folks, today on this video, I'm going to concentrate on this roster, being we're down to 80 people now, 80 players. I can go ahead and tell you 4 are special teams. I say special teams or specialists. 2 long snappers, a punter, and a kicker. And I want to concentrate on the offensive side right now. Normally that means the punter I won't talk about till we deal with the defense. We'll talk about the kicker definitely today. And long snapper, I probably will talk about in both videos, and there's a reason why. Normally I do it with the defense, but there's a special reason why I'm going to deal with the long snapper today, dealing with the offense. All right, let's get into this, folks. Right now on this roster, we're sitting here with 13 offensive linemen. Now, I feel pretty comfortable we keep 11. But with the 13 we have, I don't see it. Now, I do feel pretty good. The last video I did, I feel pretty strong about the 10 guys we're going to keep across the line. Unless somebody gets hurt, unless somebody just really does something out of the ordinary and just displeases these coaches, I think 10 of these 13 will stick. Now, the other 3, do I think they can make that one man? I don't know if we're going to go with 10 or 11. If we go with 11 men on this offensive line on our roster, I see us grabbing somebody on another team that gets cut on a final preseason cut, and we grabbing up one of those guys and putting them on a roster. But I do have one guy that I'll probably list maybe as a practice squad candidate. I could be wrong about him, but we'll see. So right now, I'm thinking we're gonna keep Deontay Brown. Deontay Brown is going to be one of our guards, and he's definitely going to more or less be backing up John Miller. John Miller will be our starting right guard. I also see the other guard. We're going to look at Pat Elflein, and I really worry about his game starting, but I feel pretty good about Dennis Daly being the guy to take his place. And, you know, Daly can also play other positions on the line. Now, center, like I said from day one, I believe we're going to sit here and keep Matt Paradis in, but I do believe in this past 3 weeks, Sam Tecklenburg has moved himself up from being a practice squad guy or not making this team to now I really think he's one of the top 10 offensive linemen, and he's going to be resourceful because he's a backup center. I don't know if he can play any guard, but if Paradis goes down, we've got to have a guy. And remember, we had brought in David Moore, that offensive lineman from Grambling State, who could play guard and center. But since he's been cut, Tecklenburg, I don't know if Elflein can play some center or not, but we're looking at Tecklenburg as a backup center, so that's going to be a valuable position to fill. Now, looking at our tackles, you know, are we going to keep Taylor Moton as our starting right tackle? I see the season starting, he could be the left tackle. And it really is going to depend on how well Cam Irvin does. If Cam Irvin can do well enough to start at left tackle, we'll start Taylor Moton at right tackle. If Cam Irvin does not, he's in jeopardy of being cut. But I do have him making it as our backup left tackle and having Taylor Moton as our starting left tackle. Now, right tackle, that means it's going to be a toss-up right now between Brady Christensen, the rookie from BYU, and we're also going to sit here and look at, oh my gosh, it skips my name, Trent Scott. I think Trent Scott can start, but I think Christensen's in a situation where he might be ready to start at right tackle. So if the rookie can hold his own, I think it's his job to lose. I would really let Scott be our first reserve. But if he can't hold it down, Trent Scott can play right tackle. And like I said, this might be mute. It might be Taylor Moton's position to lose. But those are the 10 guys. The 3 guys that aren't going to make it, I really do not see Montez Ivy making this squad. Aaron Monterio, I think he's got an outside shot at the practice squad, but I don't see him making it. Mike Horton, the guard, I do have a little potential for him. I think he can make the practice squad, but there's no way I think he'll make the 53-man roster. So I'm saying we're going to stay at 10 right now on the offensive line. If we do, you go down the list when we get to the 53-man roster and we have 11, trust me, I really do feel it's going to be someone from another team. And we've got to consider injuries in this last preseason game or something of that nature, or trades, anything. All right. Now, looking at our quarterbacks, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. Sam Darnold is our starter. We don't really know what we got a lot in him because he hasn't played enough. I think he's been sharp in practice. I think we're just kind of holding off. We'll probably see him most of the first half against Pittsburgh and see him with these weapons. I thought the one series he played, he did fine. I mean, he hit Robbie Anderson. They've got that chemistry for a nice game for first down. Then he threw a ball away because everyone was covered. And I'd rather for him to do that than force something. So the little bit of sample size we saw, I was fine. Now, the question is, do we keep 3 quarterbacks? Or do we only go with 2? I kind of like to go with 2. And my reasoning is, if we can find a young quarterback out there that can be groomed off another roster where somebody's got 4 quarterbacks and they cut them and we look at a guy and we like him, put that guy on the practice squad. That way, if we have to bring someone up or he's getting some reps with our guys in practices through the week during the regular season, we got somebody. I don't know if we'll keep 3 and keep the 3 we've got. I think it's a 30% chance. Darnold's going to start, but is it going to be Walker or Greer? Now, I understand Walker's got some game experience. I understand Walker's more athletic, and Walker can scramble. And I know he is a rule guy, and that's why I'm giving him a nod of 50% to like 25% of being the backup. I think Greer has got more upside, more ceiling. I think Greer's got a stronger arm, a liver arm. I think Greer was sharper this week. Remember that first preseason game, Greer wasn't given much of an opportunity. And he didn't look good, but the line just didn't hold up for him. This past week, other than a couple passes, I thought he was spot on the money and looked pretty confident. Now, P.J. Walker, I understand he looked the best that first preseason game, but he was working with his second team. But this past week, folks, he was 1 of 8. He scrambled when he should have been, throwing the ball, and he was should have ran the ball when he threw it. And I just did not. I thought he looked terrible. I just did not like the way he looked. And if it was my opinion, I'd let Greer be the number 2 guy and send P.J. Walker stepping. But knowing this roster, I think it's going to be P.J. Walker is going to be our backup, and Greer's going to be sent out, and I hate that. But honestly, I've said in another video, if you're going to send one out, you might as well send the other. If you can find a comparable backup. I think one of them's got to stick on a roster done. We have 2. Maybe we just go 2 quarterbacks. Because if we keep 3 quarterbacks here, we're taking up a valuable roster spot for a guy we don't feel confident in anyway. Find someone younger out there and put them on the practice squad. That's what I say. All right, your running backs. We definitely know CMC, Christian McCaffrey is going to be our starter. Now, I'm going to move Chuba Hubbard up to number 2. I just think he has too much talent. Now, when he runs behind the weak line, we can see he can get stonewalled. He's got to grow, gain some momentum and confidence. But I think he's our second guy. Now, number 3 for me is Trenton Cannon. He's not our 3rd best running back, folks. In fact, he might be our 5th best running back at best. But he can return kicks, and he can play in the slot, and that's a valuable commodity. And I've only got us keeping 3. That's the shock. Probably going to keep 1 more. I think Clark is definitely cut. I think Spencer Brown is going to get cut, but I think he'll be on the practice squad, the young rookie from UAB. But it's Bonnafon and Rodney Smith. One of them is 50-50 to make the roster. I see the other one not making it, being cut out completely. And I think it's going to be Bonnafon. And Rodney Smith might be gone as well, folks. I don't know if either one of these guys has any practice squad eligibility. If so, we might try to snatch one away there. Tight ends. All right, we've got 6 on the roster right now. I think we're definitely going to keep 3. Dan Arnold's the man. Tommy Trimble's look good, a rookie. I think he's going to play some fullback and tight end. The question is it going to be Ian Thomas or Colin Thompson? I think Giovanni Ricci's gone. I think Sullivan's gone. They got from Seattle. Now, are we going to try to go cheaper and go with Thompson and go ahead and get rid of Ian Thomas? Or are we going to go with Ian Thomas being right now maybe a little bit better of an athlete, but we could cut him and save a little bit of money, and maybe we could stash Colin Thompson on the practice squad. But that's going to be the way I look at it. Thomas is going to be our third tight end, with Colin Thompson being on the practice squad. Or we're going to elevate Colin Thompson up to number 3, and we're just going to say bye-bye to Ian Thomas, because I don't think he has practice squad eligibility. If he does, with his salary, we're not going to keep him there. All right, now this is where it gets interesting. Our wide receivers. I think we're going to keep 6. And it's tough because I think we could keep 8. But there's just no room, folks. Now, we know DJ Moore is going to be guy number 1. And Robbie Anderson, and I, put my foot in my mouth. I thought Robbie's last year. Comes up today, gets a 2-year extension. The thing I liked about it, folks, the 2-year extension with the money that was being spent, that they went back and front-loaded this year's contract. We had the money this year. So we're kind of front-loading it this year, so the next 2 years it's less money and makes more sense. Now, the good thing is that by the time you're bringing in your younger receivers, and I know DJ Moore, we can put him on the franchise tag next year, hopefully sign him long-term. I hope this isn't something that's going to push DJ Moore's stock up, and we can't afford it. Well, because if we can at least pay DJ Moore what he's worth next year, and it is more than Anderson, we could cut Anderson loose after next year if it came to it. But, our receivers are stocked, folks. So we re-signed Robbie Anderson for 3 years. We got him this year and 2 more. And the way he plays, folks, is a valuable commodity. That's great. Receiver number 3, I think we got to move Terrace Marshall Jr. He's got to be the 3rd best receiver. The guy's ready to play now. I think Trey Smith, the rookies, look good. He's clutch. He can return kicks as well. David Moore, not been as impressed returning punts and going out. It could be a small part of jeopardy where the guy could lose his job. Right now, I think he's safe. And guy number 6 is Brandon Zylstra. And that could change. I mean, he's just not showed up in these preseason games. But I think the coaching staff is, just because he's a veteran, has got a lot of promise and he can play special teams, that maybe Zylstra will stick on this roster. Now, that means we're going to let Bayless go to the practice squad. A wide receiver needy team, they see him, he's probably gone, folks. Keith Kirkwood is another guy they're high on. It's a rule guy. I've got him on the practice squad. I don't know if another squad would want him. I value Bayless more. Kirkwood could beat out Zylstra even and be on the roster. And finally, C.J. Saunders. This is a guy I'm hoping nobody sees because he's a rookie from Ohio State, undrafted. He's looked so good. I don't think it's deep. This is our deepest position on the team. And I don't think that C.J. Saunders can make this roster. But if nobody picks him up once we cut him, definitely is a guy we're going to scoop up and put on this practice squad. So do I think we're going to get Bayless, Kirkwood, and Saunders, 3 receivers on the practice squad? Small possibility. I myself am hoping for Saunders and Bayless. Or, if we get Bayless on the 53-man roster, maybe Kirkwood can do it. I don't think Zylstra's eligible. He could be. But that's the way I look at that. And folks, the one thing I wanted to mention, I really didn't want to do it, but long snappers we got 2. And I'm only going to bitch about it one time. Because right now, I see 10 offensive linemen, we could use a number 11. We definitely could use a tackle help. But would another guard hurt us that bad? So we could put Daly out wide? Or we could have somebody like Trent Scott not to fill a void in the middle if that happens? The reason why I bring this up, folks, is because we drafted Travis Fletcher to take the pay, or it might be Thomas Fletcher. We drafted Thomas Fletcher to take J.J. Jensen's spot, a long snapper on a 6th-round pick. And he's kind of botched it. Now, I'll tell you, I think Jensen's going to keep his job. And because Fletcher's had a couple of bobbles, we can't afford to let this happen. And if Fletcher gets cut and nobody picks him up, he's definitely practice squad. But that's the 6th-round pick we wasted on a guy that might have been there during undrafted free agency. And 4 picks after him, and I've said it before, Trey Smith of Tennessee was there, and the Kansas City Chiefs picked him. And I know he had some knee issues and had some health issues. And I also know that maybe he wouldn't have quite fit our scheme. Maybe the coaches didn't like him as much. But he was worth a gamble. And from what I'm reading, the Kansas City Chiefs are saying that Trey Smith is probably their best offensive lineman in camp. He's going to start. Now, would he have taken John Miller's place? Maybe not. Could he have taken Eflin's place? I think so. Would he have been battling out with Deontay Brown? Or would he have been battling out with Dennis Daly? But it sure as hell would have been nice to have a guy like Trey Smith playing guard. And if he looked as good for us as he's looked for Kansas City in preseason, that's your 11th guy on the offensive line. Instead, we're looking at a long snapper that probably is not going to make this roster, a wasted 6th-round pick, and he's probably going to get cut and placed on a practice squad and try it again next year unless somebody needs a long snapper and he gets snatched off our roster. So anyway, guys, the one position I don't want to leave out, I almost closed it. Joey Sly, the only kicker on the roster. I hope and pray that they're looking at teams as they make their cuts in this final 53-man roster. Joey Sly, you're on the board. You can go 5 for 5 in this preseason game. You can hit 50-yarders. You can make all your extra points, say all the right things. But if somebody in Baltimore or Green Bay or Chicago or the Jets, and they cut a kicker, and that kicker's look good in preseason, I think we bring him in and Sly goes bye-bye. Because I just don't trust the man. We cannot afford to go into the season like this. So yeah, we're going to have a kicker on the roster, but I don't have Sly being the guy. I just don't know who the one's going to be yet. So folks, what do you think of today's video? Who would you keep on this 53-man roster with the offense? Who would you put on the practice squad? And what guys do you think are not going to make it that I said that are, or that are definitely going to make the roster, who maybe I put on the practice squad are not making it? Leave me some comments, pound that like button, hit that bell notification for future videos, and by all means, folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And we'll see you on another edition. Carolina Sports Guy.